Well, Michael, clearly not the way you would have wanted to have ended what's been such a difficult season for Shrewsbury Town. How did you see it?
I mean, it's hard to look beyond the performance of the referee. I don't really want to make excuses, but yeah, I mean, listen, I had a conversation with him after the game, and I'm not sure if it's any consolation, but you know, he did say it's not his greatest day, and he's had much better days in the middle. I mean, I'm just disappointed because like we got a young kid who's obviously done ever so well since I've been in the building, who gets sent off for absolutely nothing. I mean, it's bad enough obviously conceding a penalty and going to go down, but then to lose a player as well, difficult. All I would say is the response of the players at least was something that I can hold on to. There's no doubt about that. There was a worry that certainly once they got their second goal, their heads would go down and they'd lose their shape and lose a bit of belief, but they didn't. You know, they kept going. We changed it up a little bit. We tried to give ourselves a little bit of a focal point with the Dane coming on the pitch, and you know, we actually caused them a few issues as well.
Yeah, you got one back late on as well to give the fans something to cheer in the closing stages.
We did, but we should have given them lots to cheer in the first half. You know, for me, the moments that we had in this first half on transition when we won the ball back, some of them you could argue were really poor decisions, going back to the referee in terms of the Lloydie incident. It was, you know, certain penalty, but others where, you know, we should have either shot a goal or made a keeper make a save or some kind, and we'd give the ball away from a sloppy pass or a sloppy decision. So I think there's lots for me to sort of take comfort from. There's a lot of the things that happened in the game that I already knew, so I'm not surprised about. And they're the sort of things that obviously I'm aware of going into you know, a summer window.
Yeah, how useful have these final 9 games of the season been as a discovering things, finding out things about the players you've inherited?
Yeah, well that is probably the most important thing for me in terms of having an idea of what I've got for next year, who can deal with what, who can play where, strengths and weaknesses, certain individuals, with the ball, without the ball, all them type of things. This little period of game has been crucial for that. Listen, I would say, you know, I just want to say a big thank you to the fans as well. Obviously, they've stayed till the end. They've clapped the players. They don't have to do that, but even as difficult of a season it is, they've been very appreciative. I'm sure and I know we'll give them much more next year. I've got no problem, no doubts about that. But they stay with us today, and you know, towards the end, you know, they're the ones hanging on.
Yeah. A lot of fans did stay around at the end, didn't they, to give you and the players a round of applause on your way around. That must mean a lot after, I know you've only been here a relatively short space of time, but a short amount of time, but what has been such a difficult season for the club that so many fans were staying at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously we were at Barnsley last week and it was obviously their last game of the season, and you know, there was a lot of their sort of fans making their sort of selves known and booing their players at the end of the game, and you know, that Shrewsbury fans would have been quite entitled to do the same after the type of season we've had. But I think they've seen that regardless of a little bit of quality or a lot of quality in some cases, in terms of, you know, some of the players in the squad, I don't think the sort of effort has ever been questioned, or certainly I can't remember too many times me sort of questioning their effort. I think obviously I had a bit of an issue with some of the things that I've seen at Northampton, but apart from that, you know, a lot of the time when I've been disappointed, it's been down to quality rather than obviously the effort.
So that's the end of the season. How do the next few days look for you to begin with, moving forward?
Yeah, well, listen, we've already started, you know, from a recruitment point of view, sort of putting things in place and making contact with, you know, potential signings for next year, and that'll continue full throttle in the next few days. There's a few things that we need to tidy up next week in terms of making sure that season's sort of blocked off and we know exactly what's happening, and then once that has happened, we continue and make sure that, you know, when we come back from pre-season, we've got as many new faces as we possibly can.
The fact that you're going to be recruiting for a League 2 campaign as opposed to a League 1 season, does it make it that much more difficult for you in terms of enticing players to the club?
Yeah, possibly, but you know, I've been around quite a long time now, and I've, you know, worked with a lot of players, and whether it's either players that I've worked with in the past or players that I've worked with who have spoke about me to other players. You know, I like to back myself that we can get players here that, you know, maybe we wouldn't have got at a different time. Not only that as well, I think even though it's a lot more difficult to get loan players in as a League Two club, I'd like to think that the relationship that I've got with, you know, many of the Premier League boys up and down the country, that will give us an opportunity, or as good as an opportunity as you know, most in the league.
You know, League Two, you've had success at that level before when you were manager of Oxford United. How big a challenge is it going to be, though, on the back of a relegation campaign going into League Two?
Yeah, it's a big challenge, and obviously until that sort of first game comes and you've got a squad and a settled group that have been trained together for a while, at that moment, you know, there's lots of things that can happen in between. Obviously, you know, you'll find out how big your budget is, all that type of stuff. You'll find out what type of firepower the league is, because the teams in the National League will be coming up. You obviously got a better understanding of the ones that are coming down with yourselves, and obviously you've seen already that, you know, some of the teams that have been in the league this year, in League Two this year, and not got out of the league, who were expected to get out of the league, look like they're going to go again. So it's going to be a difficult league, but certainly one that, you know, we'll be more sort of prepared for.
You ready for a busy summer then, I'm sure?
Oh yeah. It's going to be a busy summer, but for me it's an exciting one. You know, for me, getting today out of the way as quick as I could was the main thing, and I'm just glad the lads had the right go. You know, I think the refs spoiled the game today, there's no doubt about it, but the lads had the right go, and they give the crowd something to shout about. But for me, the bigger picture is clearly, you know, I just can't wait to start getting back on the phone and getting on the road and meeting players.
But as always, thanks for your time, Michael, and all the best for the summer moving forward.
Thank you.